The air on Cathar is heavy with tension, the stillness of the scene a stark contrast to the turmoil within those gathered. The revanchist, known now simply as Revan, stands on the edge of a beach, his followers arrayed behind him. They await the arrival of the Jedi Council, their hearts filled with a mixture of anticipation and defiance. The distant horizon of the sea reflects a deceptive calm, belying the storm brewing within the hearts of those present. Master Vrook Lamar arrives alongside several other Jedi Masters, their faces etched with stern disapproval. They have come for one purpose, to demand an end to the revanchist movement. The Council believes Revan's involvement in the Mandalorian Wars is misguided, a dangerous path that threatens to unravel the Jedi's long-held doctrines. The Mandalorians are nothing special, Lamar declares, his voice carrying the weight of one who has witnessed countless conflicts. Your movement must end before it brings about consequences none of us can foresee. His tone is cold, confident that the order and peace of the galaxy can still be preserved through restraint. Revan listens, his gaze fixed on the horizon. His mind churns with frustration, the bitterness of inaction biting at his resolve. For too long, the Council's inaction has allowed the Mandalorians to ravage the Outer Rim, and he is no longer willing to stand by. His followers shift uneasily, casting furtive glances at their leader, uncertain of how he will respond to this confrontation. Beside him, Malak waits, his impatience and simmering anger evident in the way he clenches his fists. And then, fate intervenes. Revan feels something beneath his foot, something half buried in the sand. Bending down, he lifts it, a mask. A Mandalorian helm, scarred and weathered from battles long past. The moment his fingers close around it, the force surges through him, powerful and overwhelming. In an instant, the world around them shifts. The Jedi Masters, the revanchists, and Revan himself are drawn into a vision of the past, an echo of violence long buried by time. Cathar, in its final moments of horror, comes alive before their eyes. Proud Cathar warriors and civilians are driven toward the ocean, their backs to the water, as Mandalorian warriors advance upon them. Leading the onslaught is Cassus Fett, the most ruthless of Mandalore's lieutenants, known across the galaxy for his brutal tactics. The revanchists instinctively ignite their lightsabers, rushing forward to defend the Cathar, but it is in vain. The Mandalorians are phantoms of a past already sealed in history, and the Jedi's blades pass through them as if striking at shadows. Revan stands amidst the chaos, helpless, forced to witness the slaughter. His heart pounds as he watches the Mandalorians drive the Cathar into the sea, each life snuffed out under a relentless hail of blaster fire. Amidst the carnage stands a lone Mandalorian warrior, defiant and unyielding. The warrior raises his voice against Cassus Fett, pleading, "Spare them." They are defeated. Genocide is not necessary. This is dishonorable. Fett's reply is cold, final. They dishonored us during the Great Sith War. They must be annihilated. His gaze hardens, meeting that of the defiant warrior with a grim respect. If you wish to stand with them, then you shall die with them. Without hesitation, Fett signals to his warships. Blaster fire rains down, mercilessly striking the helpless Cathar and the brave warrior who had sought to defend them. As the last of the Cathar fall, the vision fades, leaving the gathered Jedi in stunned silence. Revan holds the mask in his hand, his heart thundering within his chest. The weight of what he has witnessed presses upon him. This is not merely war. This is atrocity, genocide. A line crossed that cannot be ignored or forgiven. Slowly, with the eyes of all upon him, he raises the mask to his face. The metal is cold against his skin, yet it fills him with a searing resolve. In that moment, Revan becomes something more than a Jedi, more than a soldier. He becomes a force of retribution, a harbinger of justice that transcends the bounds of any title known in the galaxy. "I don't know your name," he declares, his voice resonating with the power of the vow he is about to make. "But I take up your cause. I will not remove this mask until there is justice, until the Mandalorians have been defeated once and for all." So swears Revan. The Jedi Masters stand, stricken with disbelief. They have sensed the defiance growing within Revan, but none had anticipated such a declaration. His followers now look to him, not as students to a teacher, but as soldiers to their commander. Master Vrook's voice trembles with anger and fear. "You have taken a dangerous path, Revan. This will only lead to more destruction. You cannot. The Council has already failed." Revan interrupts, his voice sharp with conviction. "You say the Mandalorians are nothing special, but I have seen their evil. I have felt their atrocities in the Force. They must be stopped. No longer will we stand idle while innocents are slaughtered." Malak steps forward, his voice ringing out in support of his friend. "The Council is blind. Revan is right. The Mandalorians must pay for what they've done." The Jedi Masters exchange uncertain glances. Even they cannot deny what they have just witnessed. The massacre on Cathar is a war crime beyond imagining, and yet they cling to the principles of caution, restraint, the Jedi's age-old warning against being swept up in emotion. But in this moment, the seeds of Revan's rebellion take root. In the days that follow, news of Revan's vow spreads like wildfire. The Republic, desperate for decisive action against the Mandalorians, finds hope in the revanchists' determination. The Jedi Council, though officially condemning Revan's methods, can no longer ignore the atrocities revealed by the Force's vision. Begrudgingly, they sanction the intervention of Revan and his faction, seeking to appease the growing schism within the Order while placating the Republic's demand for Jedi involvement. Revan, ever strategic, proposes a solution. Drawing inspiration from the Great Sith War 30 years prior, he suggests that the revanchists be deputized into the Republic military as a mercy corps. They would serve not just as warriors, but as healers and defenders, masking their true intent behind the guise of humanitarian aid. The Council, wary but eager for compromise, agrees. The revanchists are officially transformed into the Mercy Corps under Revan's command. Bearing the mask of justice, Revan prepares for war. The line between justice and vengeance grows ever thinner, the conflict against the Mandalorians becoming deeply personal. Under the shadow of Cathar's massacre, the galaxy and the Jedi Order brace for what will become a pivotal moment in their histories. The tide of war was turning. The revanchist Jedi, once scattered and doubted, were now fully enmeshed in the Republic military, fighting alongside soldiers to halt the relentless Mandalorian advance. Revan's reputation soared as word of his victories spread, and his charisma drew more Jedi into his cause. The days of hesitation and internal debate were over. Now there was only war. Among Revan's most trusted lieutenants was a Jedi Knight named Mitra Surik. Surik had proven herself a formidable warrior and tactician, quickly becoming invaluable in the ongoing campaign against the Mandalorians. Together, Revan, Surik, and Malak coordinated devastating strikes against Mandalorian forces, each victory emboldening the Republic and shifting the balance of power. 3,962 BBY marked a pivotal moment in the war. Revan and Malak, leading a fleet of Interdictor-class cruisers, arrived just in time to prevent the catastrophic loss of Duro, a planet vital to the Republic's war effort. The Mandalorians had raided Duro's orbital shipyards, seizing vast amounts of military supplies. With his fleet, Revan prevented their escape, turning what could have been a disaster into a decisive victory for the Republic. In recognition of his unparalleled success, Supreme Chancellor Tol Kressa bestowed upon Revan the title of Supreme Commander, placing a third of the Republic military under his direct command. The Republic's morale surged, their faith in Revan's leadership absolute. But with the mounting pressure of war, Revan and Malak began to change. The war brought out Revan's tactical brilliance, but it also revealed a darker side. Revan's pursuit of victory at all costs led him down a dangerous path. Strategic sacrifices became common, as Revan was willing to cede territory or resources in exchange for a decisive advantage. His tactics grew increasingly ruthless, matching the brutality of the Mandalorians. What had begun as a noble crusade to protect the galaxy was now evolving into something colder and more calculating. Moral shortcuts became the norm. Revan and Malak, once paragons of the Jedi Order, began adopting methods that many within the Order would have condemned. They embraced a philosophy that the ends justified the means, and the cost of victory, no matter how high, was a price they were willing to pay. Under Revan's command, Republic forces began to win, but the consequences for the Jedi were severe. The light that had once guided them through the dark was flickering. Despite the Council's wariness, Revan's success was undeniable. But unknown to many, Revan's victories were accompanied by his growing interest in the ancient secrets of the galaxy. It was during this time that he and Malak stumbled upon the ruins of a once powerful species, the Rakata. In the midst of the war, Revan and Malak returned to Dantooine, near the Jedi Enclave, where they discovered the ruins of an ancient Rakata temple. The Rakata, a species once thought extinct, were known to have ruled the galaxy millennia ago, using their dark mastery of the Force and advanced technology. Intrigued by their legacy, Revan and Malak ventured deep into the ruins. Inside, they were greeted by droid guardians who tested their resolve and strength. Though Malak hesitated, fearing what might happen if they delved too deeply into forbidden knowledge, Revan was resolute. He would not be deterred by fear or doubt, convinced that the secrets hidden within the temple would give them the power needed to end the war. At the heart of the temple, they found the star map, an ancient relic of the Rakata that revealed part of the location of a mythical space station known as the Starforge. The Starforge, built by the Rakata, was said to be a source of unimaginable power, capable of creating vast fleets and weaponry. Revan believed it could turn the tide of the war and bring the Republic ultimate victory. Despite Malak's warnings about the dangers of seeking out such dark knowledge, Revan pressed on. He was determined to find all the star maps and uncover the full location of the Starforge, believing that the station would hold the key to defeating the Mandalorians once and for all. As the war raged on, Revan's obsession with the Starforge deepened. He and Malak journeyed across the galaxy, searching for more star maps. Their travels took them to the dense and dangerous shadowlands of Kashyyyk, where they found another piece of the puzzle hidden deep within the Wookiee homeworld. They also ventured to the Sith world of Korriban, home to the tombs of ancient Sith lords. Though their visits were brief, the dark energy of Korriban stirred something within them, especially Revan. But it was on the Sith world of Malachor V that Revan's transformation truly began. Malachor V was a place of darkness, long abandoned but steeped in the history of the Sith. It was here that Revan discovered the Traius Academy, a hidden stronghold of Sith knowledge. Inside, Revan immersed himself in the ancient teachings of the Sith, drawn in by their promises of power and control. Malak, too, was seduced by the dark side, though his loyalty to Revan remained steadfast. At the Traius Academy, Revan learned to manipulate the Force in ways that went far beyond the teachings of the Jedi. He delved into the secrets of the dark side, understanding its power and its potential to reshape the galaxy. But the more he learned, the further he strayed from the ideals he once held dear. His desire to protect the Republic morphed into something else, a desire for control, for dominion. By 3961, before the Battle of Yavin, Revan was no longer just a Jedi. He had become something more, something darker. The line between light and dark had blurred, and the teachings of the Sith had taken root in his soul. He believed that only through strength and decisive action could the galaxy be saved, and the Starforge would give him the means to achieve it. With the star maps revealing more of the Starforge's location, Revan's focus shifted. The Mandalorian Wars, once the sole purpose of his crusade, had now become a stepping stone toward a greater destiny. The galaxy's future would be shaped by his will, and neither the Jedi nor the Mandalorians could stand in his way. The war was far from over, but Revan's true battle had just begun, the battle for the galaxy, for power, and for the very nature of the Force itself. The final months of the Mandalorian Wars were marked by brutality and cold calculation. Revan, though now shrouded in darkness, had not yet abandoned his Jedi ways entirely. His fight against the Mandalorians raged on, his strategies becoming increasingly bold and ruthless. Under his command, Republic forces struck at the heart of Mandalorian strongholds, driving them to the brink. When the Republic moved to liberate Taris, Revan led a group of Jedi into the labyrinthine Undercity, a place where darkness and desperation mingled. The underworld was a grim reflection of the galaxy itself, torn apart by violence and suffering. There, Revan freed a group of slaves, their hollow eyes reflecting lives marred by cruelty. Among them was a young Cathar named Juhani, her spirit broken yet burning with a flicker of hope. Inspired by Revan's intervention, one of his companions encouraged Juhani to join the Jedi Order, offering her a path to redemption in the face of so much horror. Not long after, the war took a dark turn. In the Jaga's cluster, Revan and Malak faced defeat at the hands of the Mandalorian commander, Cassius Fett. Though it was a setback, it did not break Revan's resolve. He quickly shifted tactics, ordering General Mitra Surik to lead an assault on Onderon and its moon Daksun, strongholds of Mandalorian power. Surik's forces, already battered and worn, followed her orders with a grim determination, knowing full well the bloodshed that lay ahead. The battles on Daksun dragged on for months, turning the jungle-covered moon into a charnel house of death. Republic soldiers were pushed to their limits, enduring ambushes and grueling combat in the thick, hostile terrain. For every Mandalorian that fell, 10 Republic soldiers died. The cries of the wounded echoed through the dense foliage, mingling with the stench of blood and decay. The air itself seemed to carry the weight of despair, a testament to the terrible cost of Revan's campaign. In a bid to force the Mandalorians into a final confrontation, Revan orchestrated a campaign against Althea III, destroying a significant portion of their army. By 3960 BBY, he had begun wielding a blue lightsaber, a reminder of his once noble intentions. Yet his actions grew ever darker as he ordered the construction of a superweapon, the mass shadow generator, designed by the Zabrak engineer Bao-Dur. The weapon was to be the linchpin of an elaborate trap in the Malachor system. Revan's plan was simple and terrifying. He dispatched General Surik and half of the Republic fleet to Malachor V as bait, drawing the Mandalorians into the system. Revan, with the rest of his fleet, would lie in wait to ambush Mandalore's flagship. Many of those assigned to Surik's fleet were soldiers, and Jedi who had expressed doubt about Revan's methods, leading some to believe that he deliberately placed them in harm's way to eliminate dissent within his ranks. As Revan approached Malachor, his fleet was delayed by a Mandalorian scouting party, forcing him to watch the chaos from a distance. When he finally entered the system, the scene was nothing short of apocalyptic. Above Malachor V, the space battle had already reached a fever pitch. Ships fired relentlessly, filling the void with flashes of light and the soundless eruptions of explosions. The Mandalorians fought with a savagery born of desperation, while the Republic forces pushed forward with cold precision, driven by Revan's command. Then, Mandalore issued his final challenge. Revan accepted without hesitation, boarding Mandalore's flagship to engage the warrior in a duel to the death. The battle between Revan and Mandalore was brutal, a clash of lightsaber against Beskar, the very air around them charged with the fury of their strikes. Mandalore was relentless, his strength and skill honed by years of warfare. But Revan, driven by purpose and touched by the darkness he had embraced, proved the stronger. In the end, Mandalore fell to his knees, coughing up blood. With a weary hand, he removed his mask, revealing eyes that burned with a mixture of fury and sorrow. "You have won, Jedi," he rasped, his voice a mere shadow of its former power. "But know this, we were betrayed, manipulated by a Sith." Revan's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" he demanded. "The Sith convinced me to start this war," Mandalore revealed, his words strained. "They sought to plunge the galaxy into chaos. On Rekiad, they led me to an ancient tomb, a lie I believed. You fight a war they wanted." With his dying breath, Mandalore gave Revan the coordinates of Rekiad, a piece of the puzzle Revan had not foreseen. Then he fell silent, his life extinguished. Revan took Mandalore's mask, a symbol of victory, and in that moment he claimed not just the battle but the future. As Revan stood aboard Mandalore's fallen flagship, General Surik and the Republic fleet pushed the Mandalorian forces closer to Malachor V. The planet loomed below, its surface a swirling mass of dark clouds and jagged terrain, as if it sensed the impending horror. "Activate the mass shadow generator," Revan commanded through the comms, his voice cold and unyielding. Surik hesitated, glancing at the devastation unfolding around her. Yet duty outweighed doubt. "Bowdur, do it." Moments later, the mass shadow generator roared to life. A deafening silence filled the void of space as the weapon unleashed its cataclysmic power. The gravitational vortex it created was unstoppable, a force of nature unleashed upon the stars. Ships, both Mandalorian and Republic, were dragged violently from orbit. The hulls groaned, twisted and shattered as they were pulled toward Malachor's surface. The planet itself seemed to scream in agony as the impact of countless ships tore through its crust, fracturing it to its very core. The surface was transformed into a wasteland of fire and debris, the sky blackened with the smoke of the dying. Soldiers, both Jedi and Mandalorian, found themselves crushed in the ensuing chaos, their screams lost in the cacophony of destruction. Revan and Surik watched from a distance, their faces stoic yet haunted. They had won. The Mandalorians, seeing the carnage, transmitted their unconditional surrender. But at what cost? The bodies of thousands lay scattered across the broken world below. The victory felt hollow, tainted by the means of its achievement. Surik, her heart heavy with the weight of what they had done, could feel something within her breaking, a fracture that would never fully heal. Revan, however, turned his gaze to the horizon. His eyes, once filled with the light of a noble crusade, now held a darkness that mirrored the shattered world beneath him. The Mandalorian Wars had ended, but a new battle was brewing within Revan's soul, a battle that would soon envelop the galaxy in an even greater darkness.